far from disgusting. Loving the cheerfuls we're seeing from the audience here. We are, of course, epically packed. We saw so many global fans and took photos with them who were like, oh, you came to see the games? Like, nope, couldn't get tickets. That was the consistent thing.
Yeah.
Only a couple of seconds before those tickets sold out. And here we are. And what a game to feast our eyes on. DAMWON Gaming want to keep Khan on a leash here and stop him from being able to go AP, and maybe he has to go AD just to have some relevance.
That's
in
what
the
I'm
1v1.
thinking. I think it's scary, yeah.
And that's what the Jace provides, is it says, okay, well, whatever you're taking, I'm Jace.
SKT versus DAMWON Gaming. We are on the SKT side at the moment, so in our ears, the SKT chant was extraordinarily loud, but people raising their voices for DAMWON as well, I can hear on the other side of LOL Park. As Papa mentioned, it is a packed house, basically. A bum on every seat. We'll see who's going to be able to take game number one. You mentioned that SKT's mid-game composition should be able to come online relatively well, but I would imagine that DAMWON will have the first few minutes of the laning phase in a relatively good stead.
There's multiple conditionals here when it comes to how things go. We do feel like SKT has to really kind of put the pedal to the metal in the mid-game. That's where their comp really, really does shine. And getting there, they do have 2 winning lanes priority-wise. I like the fast time Kench after level 1. In the bot lane matchup, Karma, of course, needs no explanation. Didn't actually go for Klepto, but could have against the Akali in the mid lane. And also, when you look at top, that's the 1 winning lane for the side of DAMWON Gaming. It ended up being press the attack from Kennen, so couldn't quite go the AP and didn't want to have the kind of surrendering of the 1v1 in that matchup. Skarner jungle is the other conditional where Sejuani can do more things in laning phase, can go and gank for a hammer form Jace and also Akali, 2 melee champions. There is some synergy going on between those two. DAMWON Gaming can kind of rewrite those lanes with a snowball gank, so it's kind of on Canyon to stop this from being largely an SKT winning map, because if they can just parlay 2 winning lanes into a strong mid game, there is a very smooth power curve here for SKT to take down game number 1.
Yeah. And I think that your conversation about the fact that, you know, Canyon's sitting on 800 points now on his own at the top of the MVP rankings, I think that says probably more for how DAMWON have been getting their wins rather than necessarily how fantastic Canyon is as a player. Because whenever DAMWON wins, it's largely because Canyon has found his way around the jungle in an intelligent fashion and figured out how to get these counter ganks, how to get these lanes snowballed. So I think that bringing that up is hyper relevant here in this game when, yes, every time he makes a positive move in this early game, it's almost exponentially better for DAMWON moving into what can be a very perilous game.
And I actually find it really hard to talk about Canyon's play in isolation. And in fact, talking about DAMWON Gaming to LEC pros when I was over there was very interesting, because a lot of teams and coaches looked at DAMWON Gaming and they don't really understand their drafts, because DAMWON plays different to a lot of teams. That they don't often focus on team comp, they focus on lane matchups for Showmaker and Nuggery, and end up with kind of like Karma Jace comps where you're like, wait, you got no initiation in this comp at all, you can't come from behind, you can't force anything. How do you make it happen? DAMWON Gaming, to me, play very solo lane focused, and then Canyon camps with the strongest laner. Whoever's winning, Canyon's like, well, I'll counter gank for this, and either he's taking turret plates or I'm getting kills, kind of the way they play. So from behind, they will often capitulate because their comps don't really give them much breathing room from behind. So with 2 potentially losing priority lanes, it's not as straightforward for Canyon necessarily to play out this game. He might actually have to be about his own comp.
Well, Beryl trying to get a little bit aggressive there onto Teddy, getting into melee range with the stand behind me on a minion, but unable to quite figure anything out. And as you were talking about before, Effort and Teddy should have no worries in continuing to have a relatively dominant laning phase. Largely the Braum was picked for trying to get those ganks working in this lane. It does work into the Tahm Kench relatively well, but not going to be enough to get them over the line.
Blue side draft move was to analyze how DAMWON Gaming like to leave Nuclear and Beryl on an island, take an entire duo lane, and then say, well, you get 1 pick, and we're banning towards the second part of the bot lane. And Xayah Rakan being up without a Xayah or Rakan taken in first round on red side gave them this ability to hyper-target bot lane. So I'm a fan of what SKT did around that lane. It's not going to lead to kill pressure just yet, but it does lead to a lot of bot side control for this Skarner to take Scuttle and have his way.
In fact, double Scuttle. for the Skana as well in a matchup that you already highlighted can be difficult in the earlier stages for the Skana. Both of these junglers a little bit slower to get to their power spikes and things like that. Both of them very reliant on level 6 as well. So I think that's why we're not seeing too much jungler attention in these lanes just yet.
But this is worrying for Canyon. You might say, okay, if it's farming, what's the problem? Let's talk about how SKT's draft plays on paper. Like what this draft looks like, what the coach is hoping for. It's Clid and Faker get to level 6, specifically Clid gets the ultimate, and then they roll down a bot side that they've already had priority and scuttle control over, and the turret dive with Varus ult, Skana ult, Karma movement speed, pretty straightforward, right? Maybe you even launch in with a pretty close range Abyssal Voyage, depending on levels there. You spread your lead to make this game about SKT going where they have priority, where they have earlier power spikes, and DAMWON trying to lose the minimum, and then the map control is never there for DAMWON to play their side lane focused game as the game goes on, and then mid game comes in, DAMWON of course take team fights they didn't comp for, and SKT close out from there. So it's very much a high tempo draft. High tempo in this case means always active, always roaming, always using the weapons that you have. That's why Canyon needs to start fires in top, in bot, in mid, to not just make it about SKT doing SKT things.
Yeah. And I really like it. I like the fact that SKT have decided to take a more proactive approach, because what have we been asking from our LCK teams throughout this entire season? It is play more proactively. None of this, let's focus on not making mistakes, let's focus on actually making plays.
And talk about SKT in the 9-match win streak, and it's, well, we've got Corki and another 80 carries, so you know we're going to win at some point. It's a lot of LS saying, hey, at this gold value, SKT
why do we have to talk about lull state all the time? Yeah, those sort of questions.
Because they were just confident in else SKT wins, which is kind of the banner they flew from 2015 through 2017 in a big way, right?
Yep.
This is not that kind of draft. Yes, it could win in the late game, but it is very much erring towards mid-game power. So I'm excited to see them be the team to throw out questions at the enemy rather than just backseat drive against the enemy, which is what I see from SKT in this particular game.
Interesting first pickup here from Nogari. Goes back and gets himself a phase. Values having a bit of the extra movement speed, does synergize very nicely with the phase rush, but he had the ability to purchase his a serrated Zerk, possibly even some boots after that, and decided to opt out. Interesting decision here from the Jace.
I'd love to tell you what it means. I sometimes try to read the tea leaves when it comes to item builds.
Yeah.
That cleaver is what we're expecting when it comes to where this goes to. But he's not against a tank, right? At the end of the day, that's usually a build against a true tank who play the Ruin King. And so I'm just guessing the Phage is largely for the Rage passive and, like you say, movement speed to try to avoid a top lane focus, but the health, the AD, it gives you a nice little amount of stats. Phage builds really well, but it's a surprise, and Nogari is the most creative with his item builds and
well, speaking of being creative, ultimate flies out here from Teddy, gets the double stun as Nuclear is very close to dying. 100 health for Beryl and Nuclear, but they do make it underneath the turret. One last auto not going to be enough. That's why you pop your potions, ladies and gentlemen. Nuclear's going to walk away. Canyon's here. Faker's lurking. The Inspire shield was down. Clears out a ward, and the bottom lane is going to escape. But these ganks should now be under fire, and this bottom lane is going to be further ahead.
And SKT, they were just trying to force summoners out of DAMWON before that Skana ult comes down. Yes, they would have taken a 2v2 kill, but that was largely a game of chicken, because we already talked about how SKT want to use their jungler to go bot side. Getting summoners out before you do that is, of course, going to be the true win condition. But Nuclear trying to be holding on to his flash, almost did it to his own peril. And right now, bereft of a lot of summoners in the 2v2, Teddy hits level 6 and instantly says, hey, let's fish and see what we can.
Yep, and they find it relatively effectively. Very early heal from Nuclear, I really like that. As both of the flashes come out, Teddy doesn't find the flash Q, which is why things were a little bit tougher in order to lock down that kill. So both of the 80 carries in the bottom lane don't have flash. Beryl still has his, as well as effort. So an opportunity for both of our junglers to get some work done.
Faker's taking a couple of backs, that's why he is not in a CS lead against the Akali. So Akali, potential to take over this game in the side lane. There's definitely going to be a game state where neither the Cannon nor the Karma will be able to match, and we already talked about the else scenarios where DAMWON Gaming does have some great options. The amount of mid-game, though, like Turbo Skarner with Varus, there is a lot of mid-game power here, so actually having the amount of map control to play a 4-1 or a 1-3-1 game is by no means guaranteed for DAMWON, but that's what they'll be eyeing, is how much of an ability to wave the white flag and lose the minimum exists. For now, the bot lane, which we already talked about was the great focus of the draft and what we predict to be the play here. There's the double control wards, there's the roaming duo. Skarner will go back for now, but the amount of pressure on Beryl and Nuclear is super high.
Absolutely. I think now SKT probably want to be playing a little bit closer to the top side. I think that they have a composition that should be able to freely take Shelly and then use that to really propel them forward.
That's why you see the pings onto it. There is a control ward defending it, but this does feel like the game where it's already almost guaranteed we're getting all Drakes, because that's where we've had control wards and roams the entire time. Let's take Shelly and run straight at the Drake and get both. SKT ain't looking for no swapsies. They want to be greedy and take everything.
And also, they're going to be moving really fast. Double Cloud Drakes come in as our first couple of Dragons of the game. 40 seconds until that second one is available. Cleared. He's going to start off Shelly right now, as we were talking about. Teddy's going to make the switch towards the top side of the map, looking to grab all of those plates from the top turret. As Canyon gets a ward over here, spots that Shelly's being taken and has absolutely no right to dive into this pit by himself. So it is going to be SKT with entire control of this mid-game. And I love a team that can play around their comp and create situations where they are guaranteed to get stuck.
Can I point to a situation where the one tricky lane is now being zoned away that Jace has to deal with the enemy team playing topside? They jam down the Rift Herald as a surrogate minion wave here. This is actually attacking the only losing lane they had, SK Telecom. They continue to group, they continue to amp, and I love it when a plan comes together. They're playing towards their proactive draft and doing it with a flaw.
Yep. Really nicely done. As you can see on the bottom side of the map, turret plates have gone down as well, but this is going to be the entire turret being removed. A lot of shared gold between jungle support and AD. Teddy probably a little bit frustrated about that. Does like to take the solo local gold, but he'll take an early turret. 11.5 minutes, and Shelly does her job wonderfully on the top side as Nogari's looking to grab this wave. Second cloud does go over to DAMWON, and the third Drake of the game will be a Mountain, but SKT are happy to give away a Drake like that and then can play towards this Mountain Drake coming up.
They're also happy to share their gold out. Like if you notice, no one's getting solo plate gold. You might think, okay, why are we not just giving this all to Teddy? Right now, if you have a mid-game comp, it's very much a, when we have our items online as a team, we win. So you're happy for Faker to get closer to an Ardent Sensor, perhaps, or whatever the mid-game itemization is. It's not the hyper carry needs funneled gold. It's very much a, we need our items on time. So they've chosen to share that gold to get their one-item power spikes. Double Blade is done. It's not a lost chapter build from Faker to open up with it is, like you can see. The Athene's Unholy Grail, so SKT, as a grouping 5, have all of their core items done. Nogari did rush the Black Cleaver straight up, so it's a very different approach to the lane, especially given Kennen is a lane opposition.
Well, he's going to dive right on top of Khan, but Klid's going to turn up. The flash is still down, the Impale is there, and that is a very simple first blood going over to SKT Nogari. Much like Nogari is known to do, a little bit too far up.
Very easy for Klid to come from downtown, and we talked about how it's a different game state than Canyon's used to. He's on very much a vision information quest on the bot side, but cannot make a cross-map play like we saw possible. I mean, looking at Teddy here, they're looking for a turret dive.
Yep, ward is going to go over. Beryl does find the Winter's Bite. The turret got a little bit angry with him there as well, but you can see Showmaker making his way down. Is unable to really translate this CS advantage that he's been able to pick up for himself. Does find Faker here and dodges out of the way of the first Q and the second one.
A lot of magic was just stacked onto Faker already, so no solo kill potential on his opposition. But speaking of kills,
if you throw yourself a Sejuani in there, should be a free flash, and it is so. Faker now, without that summoner spell, could be important, but it's a Karma. So you're not too worried about it, really, for SKT. They should still be able to continue the pressure that they have. 2,000 gold is now the lead as we have a look. Pretty elementary, my dear Watson.
Yeah, kind of looking at the mini-map, Nogari did have pretty decent coverage wards. It obviously didn't give many river information, but you can understand why he thought he was okay to walk up to the Tri-Brush there. Just turned out that Klid, as a Predator jungler, had a lot of threat onto him. Speaking of Predator junglers, because it's Skarner, we always do the QSS look, and the tax hasn't been paid. Canyon.
Well, Canyon's still holding on to that Glacial Prison, 4 members bottom side.
2-level lead for Clid over Canyon.
Yeah.
Just tells you that wherever Clid has gone, he's been taking camps, or as we saw, getting involved in the first blood. Didn't expect that I would have been this game so fortuitous, but it does feel like Canyon hasn't been able to set up the game state that really led to those 8 MVPs that he's been able to pick up already this season.
And we talk about this team sort of playing around Canyon's power level, and that's why he's able to get so many of those MVPs. It's like live or die by our jungler. Unfortunately, in this game, their jungler hasn't really been there throughout most of it. Still, gold lead is by no means indicating that DAMWON are out of this one, but the problem is that SKT should now have their opportunity to put DAMWON in impossible situations if they can play it well, as Faker throws over a wall.
And these are the easiest games to cast because we've already laid out what SKT needed to do, and they've been fantastic at doing that so far.
Yeah.
But the impetus stays on them, so we just wait to see if the team that's on the proactive side can continue to get more. And it gets harder and harder when outer turrets will soon be all down. Right now it's just one, but SKT need to continue the sort of pace they're on. They got the Varus Tom for roam potential and strong siege in the mid lane, pushing up in the side lanes. DAMWON Gaming trying to stem the bleeding. SKT trying to make this a proverbial blood bank, get all of that blood out there on the rift, as much gold as possible, as early as possible.
You can see Teddy happy to play so far up in this lane, getting 3 autos on the barrel. Does also pop the Blighted Quiver.
What is he scared of, right? He's got a Tahm Kench for the Glacial Prison, so that's what you can be able to do. Movement speed from Faker as well.
Avoiding all of the poke damage as well, as you can see, and able to offer his own back. Really nicely done stuff here for SKT. Topside though, Nogri is going to be able to go back and pick up another minion wave. He still has a lead as far as that CS is concerned, but Khan will be ahead in the gold, considering the turret plates that he's been able to knock down. There's a couple of daggers there.
Timing you guys are looking for. Ardent Sensor will be completed second item. Faker is literally a support. There is no even single lost chapter item that we sometimes see on these Karmas. And second item on Varus, that is where SKT, even if they're even gold, are way stronger.
Yeah, Flash Impale comes in. Beryl's going to find one, though, onto a couple of people. Slicing Maelstrom, not a lot of value. As Nuclear in there with a gigantic amount of burst damage. Showmaker has found the backline, dives onto Khan, picks up that kill by himself. Can he find the low health Tahm Kench? The Shock Blast can, as Showmaker finds his moment, dives over the wall, and now DAMWON have come alive, and they'll take themselves the Mountain Drake.
What a huge change in the game. SKT think they see something, they go for the flash ulti, but it's turned on its head by DAMWON Gaming, and it's the first snafu for the SKT early game plan.
I do like the idea. I do like what SKT did, but it was just way better what DAMWON did in response.
Question is, does Clid know enough to make this play? And the answer's kind of in the middle, yes and no. It seems like they overrate the damage output there, but because Beryl is there to tank and also Unbreakable is up in order to make a play, SKT can't actually route DAMWON Gaming like they assume they can on an early game comp, and then Showmaker gets to play inside out, both sides of the Drake pit. They exit with a couple of kills, some important gold goes the way of DAMWON, and now SKT need to make sure their next play sticks the landing as Faker's 2-item build is complete.
Yeah, I think that's a large problem here, because if Faker had have actually found a back timing before that trigger was pulled, then that's so much added damage. They've got 2 people that are running attack speed-based builds in the Cannon and the Varus, and so the Ardent Sensor with the AoE application of the Inspire would have been a hell of a lot of value. So we'll see whether the next fight is going to work.
It wasn't online.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
They chose to fight it anyway. Like the flash investment from Clid. They saw something, and we can't know without pump. They saw something that didn't appear to be there as readily. The gold lead, as we knew, was only, what, 1,500 gold before then, and now it's basically a wash between the two teams. SK Telecom, still no QSSs outside of Braum, though, so they can set up some vision leads, and when they have a Tahm Kench roam potential and Varus ult, Skarner ult, there's still picks to be had on DAMWON Gaming if they try to play their standard 1-3-1 game, which, no surprise, they've been trying to play.
Yep. The only issue for SKT now is that Showmaker is huge. He's a gigantic monster. He is going to be building Morellonomicon. Don't tell LS, anyone. But that is going to be his second item. The core is already there, and he does so much damage if he can jump onto one of the squishy targets.
He could go Void Staff.
I hope so.
I think the healing from the Karma is something that you definitely think about, and obviously play the Ruin King as well, but I think Void Staff makes a lot more sense here. We'll wait and see. Again, because of just power spike level, getting 2 items early, you could understand it.
He's building it.
Look, there's going to be one eventually, right? By hook or by crook, there'll be one in this game.
Yeah.
The Kai'Sa one, I love blowing his brain up. The Kai'Sa Morellonomicon from Sungyun. Bless his heart. Sungyun's our favorite Joker, and he probably didn't even know the next level he had going on in that game.
He definitely, if that was a prank, it was one hell of a prank. Because they also won the game. That's the best part.
That's a match history and item choice that's always going to be there as a winning choice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
If you've got the match history, guys, make sure that if you feel like tilting LS, just send it to him on Twitter. No worries.
Use the Winnie the Pooh meme, you know, the one where he's like disapproving into approving with that Morellonomicon. Oh, beautiful.
Well, speaking of which, it is completed now. 2 items for both of the solo laners for DAMWON Gaming.
And it kind of has to be we rock up, start sieging, or we rock up, start up an objective, and this is the power level kind of guarantee. Faker will go for probably Death Cap as 3rd item just to have bigger shield strength, but Rapid Fire Cannon is done from Varus. This is the point in the game where even though DAMWON Gaming could outplay, it requires an outplay to get a lot of value. Here's Noguri, it's going to be targeted.
Yep, counter gang positioning though from Canyon, throws down the prison, and now the teleports have to be invested. Abyssal Voyage coming down as well. Effort right in there as the Impale is on top of Canyon. And whether or not the stopwatch comes in, he is still going to die. The piggy bank starting to spill the coins rather than doing any collecting this game.
And they get a reactionary TP from Showmaker that's too late in order to actually be involved in the play, and that relieves pressure from 1-3-1. And if DAMWON Gaming can't try to 1-3-1 when SKT group for an objective, that suits SKT just fine as they get the 5v5 at the time they're looking for. So for the stakes in this game, for it not to be DAMWON Gaming just making it 3 lanes, trying to push SKT apart at the seams, that's actually really important for SKT when it comes to trying to force the game in this 20 to 28 minute phase where on paper they should be stronger.
Well, this mid-outer turret is something that they really need to put a bit of effort into taking down, no pun intended. It is very high health and also very high value here for SKT. They want to try and get some control of DAMWON's jungle so that they can play that suffocation style and make it much safer to play their style of League of Legends. Noguri going to come over and help them with this river control as the next mountain is available in 15 seconds. Massively high value for DAMWON, meaning that these Barons need to constantly be respected. And as soon as DAMWON can make SKT play on their tempo, like we've been talking about all game, it is going to be a huge shift in power level for both of these teams. And another dragon fight might be a problem here for SKT. The last one didn't do so well.
They're pretty disconnected though. Khan and Clear are pretty far away.
Showmaker in great position for this flanking play as the dragon is going to go for free. Over to DAMWON and SKT, no. There is no way for them to gain any control of this area, so that is a big one for DAMWON to get against the run of play as it should be.
They're trying to get mid lane turret as a response to this. DAMWON Gaming get around, they clear the minion wave, or try to.
Yep, defensive poke coming down from Noguri as well. A fair bit of damage from these shock blasts now as Khan taking some turret shots, taking some extra damage there. I think Beryl's been playing really well, blocking this poke and blocking the options from SKT in the front line. He was the first one to build the QSS, knowing that he wanted to play that style of League of Legends and has done so very well so far.
SKT are finding it very hard to get past those early objectives. We talked about how we ticked off their play up to the Rift Herald transition around 12 minutes, and so they've pretty much played the ideal game, but since then, they haven't been able to take down mid lane or bot lane turret. The Baron is spawned, they have no threat on it. The duality of the Mountain Drake is interesting, Atlas, because it's very easy to say that from behind, Mountain Drake doesn't give you much. So, for example, you can't take down a Drake, but denying SKT's comp that wants to group and force Mountain Drake actually has a huge effect on the game. There's 2 Mountain Drake. SKT can just make those Baron turns with the Karma AoE shield and the
that outer turret's dead, right? Like
that also, but they can also just say, hey, come to our Baron. Look at how fast we're going to do it with Ardent Sensor. And that isn't possible without those Mountain Drakes. So SKT being late for Mountain Drake really does frustrate the game from their side. And DAMWON Gaming, they may not be able to use this Mountain Drake early, but if the map ever resets, if a pick comes out at 30 minutes, they run at Baron, and like you're already alluding to, Baron just pretty much leaves the pit and passes over the buff and says, no, you've got this one.
Yeah. I think that this also adds to an extra problem for SKT as well, because what we were talking about the fact that this composition controls the game and makes you play the way they want you to play. If you add the fact that DAMWON can kill Baron in 3.5 seconds into that equation, then SKT needs to be consistently thwarting the Baron pit. You can see Clid over there right now. He's unable to be utilized, counter-jungling, denying objectives, ganking a side lane that Nogari's overextended in, things like that. It means that DAMWON have an extra arrow to their bow.
Khan has an extra oomph to his side lane, but she's gone Frozen Mallet for the 1v1 build. Very early here, kind of an old Gnar build that we would see back in the day. We don't even see it on Gnar anymore. It's basically the I want to catch phase rush Jace.
We've been seeing it, but it's third or fourth item almost every time.
This is to get the pick onto Nogari, basically, is the thought there. Phase rush is on cooldown, you start the slow, Predator comes in, you kill Nogari, and maybe that unlocks a side lane turret or a Baron. So it is a lot into now. It's very much a, let's use this to get a pick in the next 5 minutes to get our comp where it needs to be. We've mentioned kind of 22 to 28 minutes. We're smack bang in the middle, Atlas, so it's all about the now for SKT. Living on a prayer a little bit, but this needs to be the moment they blow open the game.
Yep, we've got the Impale coming down though as Canyon. He knew that was going to happen immediately. Showmaker goes into his stopwatch, backflips away. Great ultimate there from Beryl, who sets up the Unbreakable to keep himself alive. And DAMWON, great defensive play, but I have a feeling that they were looking for more from that counter gank opportunity.
Health bars are low though on DAMWON. We'll see how they respond. That is the change onto the Shroud, able to get that Skarner ulti as we could see. And SKT will get this turret, so Showmaker overrating his Shroud is the reason they lose the all-important mid lane turret.
Yep, Nogari now going to have to come over here as well and defend this inner turret, as the minions are the priority. They do manage to take them down, but SKT still looking to get more and more. As this is an SKT now playing with some fire in their bellies, as you can see, wanting to try and get themselves through this mid-game portion with the lead that they want. 2.3 thousand gold is not enough.
It's comforting to see them, though, understand the predicament they're in and try to force things, because just farming it out here is the worst possible line of questioning that SKT could go down. Faker wants his death cap before we do make it about an objective. Speaking of, Infernal Drake is of quintessentially high value in this particular game. They'll hit the Rift in 30 seconds. DAMWON have been in position to secure the last two, the two mountains. But this time, I think the vision's all been moved topside from both teams.
Yeah, they do have Clid hanging around top side of the map as DAMWON's teleport is up there, so in theory, DAMWON can play around the Drake a little bit more comfortably.
You don't want to force anything too hard, because I assume Faker wants to get that recall in, and yep, this will be the death cap recall from Faker. After that, TP is up, so he will be able to regroup. Yep,
good vision down spots that Canyon was moving on over as well, so SKT with full knowledge that this Drake is a comfortable one. Teleport going to be utilized as Beryl throws his ward over. They know that this Drake is being taken, but DAMWON now, knowing that they're on the back foot, aren't going to invest anything in there as they move over to the Baron pit, try and get control of this area. Drake is going to go down. We'll see with it. DAMWON just try and burst it down. They are going to jump into this pit and take it. Okay, it's going down extraordinarily quickly. That's what the double mountain Drake is going to do, as Khan is boosting his way forward. The Baron is going to go over to DAMWON, but can they get out safely? Arctic Assault stand behind me, and it looks like DAMWON have done it, but Clid's going to pick one out. Nogari's going to flash, though, to try and get out of there. Beryl going to be the first one to go down as Canyon's in the front line. It's trade 1 for 1 as the Skarner's going to bite the dust, and the Blade Caller is such high value from Nuclear. Showmaker, can you backflip fast enough as Khan is slowing them with his frozen mallet? Showmaker just can't nip out of there as quickly as he would want, and now has to try and stay in here. Almost gets Khan off the back end, but 2 kills for 1 and a Baron. I'd probably take that if I'm DAMWON Gaming.
Absolutely, Atlas, because you get the Baron off the Rift, and the siege comp with Baron would have been too much for an Akali to try to wave clear against the wave clear and the poke and the rapid fire cannon. Varus be able to do. Here's Teddy, though, trying to walk up, get this turret down, even against the Baron. SKT lose that objective as one to try to contest over. At minimum, that will extend the game from DAMWON's perspective. They were forced to fight to get an exit. 3 people get out. You'll take it as DAMWON Gaming.
I absolutely love that call from DAMWON though, just knowing that if there's a jungler on the Dragon, we can guarantee that we'll get this Baron and get out with acceptable losses.
And that's what they do. They throw out the Glacial Prison defensively and then just try to get the hell out. And they're happy there are red side teams. They can actually go behind the pit and try to escape. The reason this doesn't end up in a routing is watch Teddy. Remember, he's the MVP here as the one who has the Ardent Sensor Karma in his pocket. He doesn't have vision behind because they're fighting in terrain that is not SKT favored. So he gets kited away from even with things like Karma shields. And it was a Showmaker block that stopped Canyon from going down to the Flash Q. Frozen Mallet Tech still pretty good on the chase, but it could have been much higher casualties from a DAMWON Gaming perspective.
What a beautiful thing for Showmaker to do. Sacrifice himself for the good of his jungler. Probably not the right move. Because if one of them's going to go down, you probably want your split push to have Baron, but beggars can't be choosers. This outer turret certainly is going to be taken. 4-4 is the kill score. 3-3 now is the turret score. 30 minutes into this game, we have a very, very close one on our hands. Khan is going to push SKT over the line just a little bit more, as the on-hit cannon in the side lane is a very, very scary prospect, and we'll be eating some time on this Baron as well by adding to that pressure. You saw Beryl and Nuclear going to fall for the bait, and that is going to evade the rest of the pressure on this map.
I wonder if we go full old school cannon build and go into the Hurricane here, but it's the Perma CC cannon build.
Yeah.
We used to see this a couple of years ago back in that cannon versus Snar matchups where you would go rapid fire cannon, and yes, you don't do a lot of damage, you don't blow someone up in the side lane, but you enter a team fight, and between your Mark of the Storm and Perma AoE Frozen Mallet, you do incredible crowd control, and they've got the speed ups to aid the slowdowns on the side of SKT. So potential there for Teddy to be able to close the distance.
With Blade of the Rune King as well, it does sort of add to that value that you get.
But instead has gone for the Phantom Dancer here for a little bit more sturdiness in the 1v1 on the side lane, and also, of course, DAMWON Gaming might be sending a Kali as a piggyback to try to get some picks onto that.
Yeah. Don't mind it at all, as Khan's going to make his way in, looking to go aggressive under Noguri here. Noguri pretty happy about that one, actually, as Khan's tanking the turret. Canyon's going to move on over, but Khan just has so much control of when he wants to and when he doesn't want to put on the pressure. Showmaker has found Teddy, the Devour, very early. Glacial Fissure is going to be thrown out. A lot of extra space given after that Devour's Regurgitate as Canyon finds himself in the back line. No mana onto Teddy as DAMWON are looking to push further forward. 5 members barreling down the mid lane as cleared. Will be slowed and destroyed. Showmaker picks up that kill, and now SKT find themselves well and truly on the back foot.
Really intelligent collapse from DAMWON Gaming. The moment they saw Clid rolling through the enemy jungle, Showmaker goes all in the mid lane with the 2 pushing up of Tahm Kench and Varus. And the reason why things fall off from SKT is that when the shields are down, if they're not grouped as a 5 and DAMWON Gaming coming to them, you've got so much damage on the side of DAMWON Gaming that they're able to focus down a couple of members. SKT need to be the sum of their parts. Isolated, they're in trouble.
Well, Winter's Bite is going to go wide here as Khan's looking to try and get a tag. Doesn't find the Q, doesn't find an auto. DAMWON are going to make it out, looking to set up a bit of a gank rush here as SKT. Are you going to face check? The answer is no. Heads up play there from SKT, and now they might be in a position where they've routed this DAMWON Gaming squad. Not going to happen just yet. The gold is entirely even. The Drakes basically even given the value of an Infernal Drake.
It is obscene how many shields and temporary health gains are on the side of SKT. Actually obscene. We have Phantom Dancer, we have Stone Plate, Karma needs no introduction. There's so much shielding.
There's a Bloodthirster now as well.
I know, another
Teddy's
overshield.
got his extra one.
And Tahm Kench is Tahm Kench.
And the amount of augmentation for this guy as well. He's got a Zeke's Herald and a Knight's Vow on his support.
The most important thing here is on the minimap. That is when Karma and Skarner said, we're going to get you, Sejuani, to try when he came for the counter gank. And what did DAMWON do? All in on the mid lane Tahm Kench Varus, knowing there's kills to be made, and then the support bot doesn't have, in Karma, doesn't have an AD carry to shield, then Clid is too far up. This is DAMWON Gaming make a very good reactionary call, which is was not their calling card in spring. They would so often trip up in mid to late game macro in spring. They kind of needed to be, as SKT comp this game in spring season, just to win games. Yeah, summer season, they've made the better calls. They did it against KT last time out, and now we're at 60k gold versus 60k gold.
Canyon is going to find the ultimate. The Devour's immediately there, but they knew that was going to happen. Effort just pops like a balloon, and Devour's immediately follows him. Faker is going to get picked off, and this is SKT's collapse at this stage of the game. Could the game just be over right now?
It's over now, Atlas. Why are they far up when their tanks are towards the side clearing wards? The duo lane goes far too far up, and the game's over.
Yep, unfortunately, the tiptoe, this walking on the tightrope has been fallen off by SKT, and now the last-ditch fight is going to be lost. They knew they had to do it, and they knew it wasn't going to work. The ace comes out, and DAMWON Gaming have taken down SKT in game number 1. It was so close until it was over.